The coroner's office says 46-year-old Robin Storr was killed when the boat she was in here on the Ohio River collided with a barge.
The other one is known as a flashover. That comes over the ceiling, can raise the temperature up to 900 degrees in a matter of seconds.
And the two officers who fired their weapons have been placed on administrative leave. Kentucky State Police is now heading this investigation. Those who serve and protect one of Louisville's roughest neighborhoods found themselves serving the community in quite a different way today, with cookies and their dancing moves. There he is, guys. You can't miss him. Graham Breitenstein on the biggest stage in the world with one of the world's biggest performers. A lot of trash here at this abandoned homeless camp. It's just off of River Road and I-71. In fact, the Big Four Bridge is only about 200 yards behind me. Jacob Sissel lost his fight with MD last week. His parents are now preparing for how their lives will be since the disease has taken family members before. The Shepherdsville community in mourning tonight after an 18-year-old student was hit and killed by a car. The accident happened just 2 days before he was set to graduate high school. It is safety first for everyone out there, also the journalists who are bringing you what is happening here in our city of Louisville. We are going to be possibly bringing our crews back into the area to assess what's going on, but there were smoke cannons and it just got a little too dicey. More than a half dozen accidents in just as many years is scaring a Custer, Kentucky family so much they can't sleep at night. The water has actually receded a little bit since we were out here this afternoon. There was one emergency rescue of a person on Frankfort Avenue. Those 5 county employees worked here at the road maintenance barn, and it's here where a lot of that drug activity is believed to have taken place. Lindsay and David, about 100 people gathered in front of the statue tonight calling for its removal and what they say it represents. Lindsay, that fatal accident happened just after 2 o'clock this afternoon here along the eastbound lanes of I-64, not too far in front of the Galt House, just below the Belvedere. Stars of sports, television, movies, and of course music hit the red carpet for the 29th annual Barnstable Brown Party, one of the largest parties in the country right here in Louisville. 2 of the largest stages in the country are set up here at Champions Park for Bourbon and Beyond and Louder Than Life. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joel Schipper. Hayden is off. More pain for the Louisville family already hurt after the shooting death of David McAtee. WDRB's Chad Mills explains why the death of McAtee's nephew has a friend seeking change. A 21-year-old was killed on the 2nd Street Bridge while riding a Lime scooter. LMPD says a vehicle hit 2 electric scooters around 11 o'clock last night. Austin Saylor of Louisville was pronounced dead. A second man was hurt and is expected to recover. Police say neither Saylor nor the other scooter operator were wearing helmets. The 2nd Street Bridge was closed for several hours while police investigated. The Kentucky Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression spoke today about the settlement reached between Breonna Taylor's family and the city. The group believes the more than 100 days of protests helped move along settlement talks.
We don't think the settlement would have been as significant and would not have included the police reforms.
Disney lovers, listen up. The Disney store at Oxmoor Center is closing soon. A sign at the store says it will close on or before September 28th. And the customer sent WDRB these photos that show a line of dozens and dozens of people this afternoon. They're in line for some deep discounts, according to signs on the store windows. Another TARC driver has tested positive for the coronavirus. The Transit Authority says the driver last worked on September 14th. It's asking anyone who rode Route 23 on the 14th to self-monitor for symptoms of the virus. This is at least the 4th TARC driver to get the virus. Right now, TARC is operating under essential services only. The passengers must wear masks and maintain social distancing on all buses. Drivers are protected by a closed barrier. TARC says all buses are cleaned and sanitized and disinfected every day. Kentucky reporting 439 new COVID-19 cases today. That brings the total number of cases in the Commonwealth to at least 61,542. Good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on this Labor Day. I'm Joel Schipper. Another major change in command at LMPD. WDRB's Stefan Johnson talks with the new interim chief about why she's the right person to lead the department for now. There won't be as many fans as Cardinal Stadium as fans are used to seeing this season, but there is a chance for fans to still be part of the game day experience. Kroger will present Salute to Card Nation during each home game, focusing on a different group of fans who participate in spirit and cheer remotely for the Cards. Labor Day weekend has always been a huge travel weekend, and a global pandemic slowed it down but didn't stop it. Why health experts say the last few days could lead to a surge in COVID-19 cases. Plus, his death shocked the world, and now doctors hope that Chadwick Boseman's death will continue to serve as a wake-up call, the disturbing trend they're seeing in colon cancer patients. TSA reports record air travel for the pandemic as Americans soak up the last of summer this Labor Day weekend. But as Whitney Wild explains, health experts worry this weekend could result in a coronavirus surge. In a press conference at the White House today, President Trump talked about how soon we could see a vaccine for COVID-19.
What I said is by the end of the year, but I think it could even be sooner than that.
The United States has the highest number of COVID-19 cases in the world, but a new country has moved to the number 2 spot. India has seen more than 90,000 new cases in the past 24 hours. That pushes the country past Brazil with more than 4.2 million cases. Getting a flu shot this year is more important than ever to keep as healthy as possible. Doctors and nurses are preparing to battle flu season and the coronavirus at the same time. Health experts suggest getting the shot will decrease the chances of getting the flu or make it a more mild case. It'll also decrease the chances of spreading the flu to others. And if you do get sick, getting the right diagnosis could be tough.
We won't be able to distinguish immediately between whether somebody has flu or whether somebody has COVID.
After the death of Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman, the world is taking a closer look at colon cancer in young people. Sasha Roth was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer at just 38 years old. Unfortunately, her diagnosis is becoming more common. It's not a cancer that's often diagnosed in those under 50, but doctors say and oncologists say data shows a concerning trend. Amazon is banning the sale of foreign seeds in the U.S. You might remember back in July when thousands of Americans, including Kentuckians, got unsolicited packages of seeds in their mailboxes. Most of them came from China. The U.S. Department of Agriculture identified more than a dozen plant species from morning glories to mustards. According to plant experts, seeds from other parts of the world could be non-native and could harm crops like corn and soybean. A tiny bit of good news for the airline industry. United Airlines says it's adding more routes next month. These additions will have the airline running about 40% of its flight schedule. That's compared to last October. United is adding flights that go to Hawaii, Chicago, Denver, and Houston. The move comes after United announced it would furlough more than 16,000 employees next month. Another weekend of unrest throughout the country. Protesters on the streets in Rochester, New York, Portland, Oregon, and Kenosha, Wisconsin. For a 5th night in a row, protesters in Rochester demanding justice for Daniel Prude. He died during an encounter with police back in March. The city erupted in anger after the release of body cam video of that encounter. It shows officers putting a spit hood over Prude's head and then pinning him to the ground for 2 minutes. As we all know, it can be really difficult to get a job in 2020 because of the pandemic. So some photographers across the country and here in Louisville are coming together to make sure job applicants have the best shot possible.
Louisville resident Ellie Chancellor stepping in front of the camera to help her resume get a boost. She's a cruise ship performer who's now out of work.
I got home March 11th, and I've been home since then here in Louisville.
Wednesday afternoon, 2 Louisville photographers, Gary Berrigan and Carl Armajo, set up shop inside a store at Oxmoor Center, part of a one-day national initiative called 10,000 Headshots. More than 200 photographers across the country teamed up with Brookfield Properties to provide free headshots to those who lost their jobs because of COVID-19.
The headshot itself can be invaluable because that can create opportunities that will lead to income and employment.
Before long, those who signed up showed up, ready to strike a pose for that next job. Each person had about 5 pictures taken, all sent to their cell phones. Since so many job interviews are now virtual, a photo and a shot of self-esteem can go a long way.
And then they're leaving out of here, with that newfound level of confidence. Their morale is boosted, and then they're ready to go out and kick butt in the job market.
With some photo sessions costing hundreds of dollars, those here say any money saved is appreciated, especially when it can help you on your next career path.
Just to have this opportunity to feel really good about yourself in a time that is pretty trying for a lot of people, it's the biggest blessing.
In Louisville, Joel Schipper, WDRB News.
A Louisville family shaken up but unharmed after a truck slams into the front of their house. The driver, a 10-year-old girl, said she did it on purpose.
Sounded like a bomb went off.
Joshua Pate had just gotten home from work around 2:30 Friday afternoon when this happened. A truck crashed into his home near the intersection of New Cut Road and West Indian Trail.
Yeah, everybody was in shock. Everybody's still in shock.
The driver of the truck was a 10-year-old girl. She wasn't injured, but Pate heard her speaking with officers once they arrived.
He couldn't believe what she said. You know, he was like, "Excuse me?" And she said, "I wanted to kill people." And he said, "I'm sorry, what'd you say?" And she said, "I wanted to kill people."
5 children were in the room at the time. Pate says the furniture saved their lives.
The love seat slid around and made it kind of as a barrier. The back of the love seat's kind of tall, like, you know, this high. And the kids, I think they just kind of slid with the love seat.
Seconds before, Christina Bryan tells WDRB the girl hit her car before crashing into the home. Bryan's car is totaled. She was hit so hard it caused her vehicle to spin several times, even creating cuts in the pavement.
When I heard it was a 10-year-old girl, my first reaction should have been, is she okay? But when I looked down there, she was walking from the truck to getting into the back of the cop car. I knew she was okay.
Bryan has some minor scrapes and bruises and is wondering how this could have happened. She's glad her 11-month-old twins weren't in the car at the time of the accident.
Where's the parents when this little girl even got in the car? How this little girl even got access to the keys?
That's the same question Pate has. His family's renting the home and the Red Cross has stepped in to help, but the family will be displaced for at least a month until the home's repaired. He says he's forgiven the girl, but what he really wants, he hasn't gotten.
All we want is an apology from the family, pretty much. And we haven't heard from them, haven't heard from anybody.
Both Pate and Bryan say they plan on taking legal action against the girl's family. LMPD is still investigating this case.
This is disgusting. I mean, you have all this trash that's piled up.
From above, the size of the abandoned homeless camp along River Road is hard to miss.
Well, my first reaction when I got out of my car and I saw this is just, it breaks my heart to realize that we've got conditions such as this that is called home.
Barbara Sexton Smith represents the city's 4th district and was surprised to see this trash area as big as it is.
And I'm seeing the cars coming. I know everybody's looking at that and they're driving east-west in this beautiful city of ours and they're seeing that. Is that what we are? I hope not.
When we walked through, we found broken down tents, Bibles, mattresses, even renderings of new hotels. But Sexton Smith is also concerned about possible public health issues. We also found knives, countless syringes, and sharp disposal containers.
So what may have been an easy problem to clean up in the beginning, if we're proactive, becomes an almost insurmountable problem and an issue.
Well, it's concerning, but we see it. I mean, we see the trash.
Cindy Murray can't help but notice the garbage when she and her friend jog past the area a few times a week, something that can also be seen as drivers enter the downtown area.
There's a lot of events down here, and people coming from out of town, they don't want to see all this trash. It's dirty.
The city knows of several abandoned camps throughout the metro area, and Sexton Smith believes something needs to be done now before it gets worse.
And once you see a lot of trash like this, then folks don't think anything at all about dumping more and dumping more on top of that.
Waste Management will be out here sometime on Thursday to begin to clean this all up. Reporting off of River Road in Louisville, Joel Schipper, WDRB News.
Tucked away in the hills of eastern Kentucky sit several unassuming sheds. Inside are hundreds of plastic bins, each with its own deadly occupant. This is the Kentucky Reptile Zoo, and it's here Jim Harris and Kristen Wiley house nearly 2,000 of the world's most dangerous snakes, from monocled cobras to mambas and countless vipers.
I just wanted to have a place where I could have a larger amount of animals and I could also educate people.
Educate and save lives. Here in these sheds, Jim and Kristen extract the snake's venom, a process known as milking. The snakes, in this case a gaboon viper, are encouraged to bite along the edge of a glass beaker. It's painless to the animal. The venom from the syringe-like fangs then drips into a vial. It's a small dose of liquid gold that's becoming crucial in the medical field.
A lot of cancer research is coming from snake venom. Anti-venom comes from snake venom. So yeah, it does save a lot of lives. Actually, more people are saved by venom than die from venom.
The zoo supplies venom to hospitals not only here in the United States, but also to research centers around the world. Depending on the snake, 4 types of venom and toxins are produced. each used in a different way.
We are doing a project now with South American rattlesnake venom that is in human testing in Europe for cancer.
Mamba venom is being tested to replace certain opioids.
There's pain receptor toxins and the venom that'll actually, there's neurotoxins that'll block the neurons so you don't feel pain.
We've also seen quite a few venom-derived products, most notably our ACE inhibitors that we use to treat hypertension, come from a South American pit viper.
Dr. Peter Akpunonu is director of medical toxicology at the University of Kentucky. Occasionally, he sees patients who are bitten by one of Kentucky's 4 native venomous snakes. Anti-venom helps reverse the symptoms. He relies on Jim and Kristen to supply the serum to not only his hospital, but other countries where the more exotic species live and where certain anti-venoms can be scarce.
It's great having them here. They're a very knowledgeable resource because there's not many people that know more about exotic envenomations here in the United States than those two.
41 years of snake experience does not come without its close calls. Harris, who is a former police officer, has been bitten 11 times, been on life support 7 times, and clinically died 3 times.
Every morning I wake up, I'm already prepared to die. I've already died. So I'm not scared to die.
But it's that tenacity and survival attitude, much like his snakes, that keeps Harris risking his life every day. Some days he and his wife will milk 800 snakes or more. It's supply and demand. Some of the most in-demand venoms can come at a pretty hefty price. Gaboon viper venom goes for about $130 a gram. It's an extremely dangerous job that doesn't come with a paycheck. He relies on his police pension, so he doesn't take a salary working with snakes. Despite that, he still spends much of his time with hooks in hand and a laser focus, risking his life so others might be saved.
It is important to me to give something back. I don't like seeing suffering. I always tell people when most people think of venom, they think of death. I think of life.
Joel Schipper, WDRB News.